girl, Sharita, the Behavior and Learning Strategist, coming at you from the Work Unlimited Growth Institute, where you can find solutions for your child's behavior and learning challenges. I know you're going to be really excited because we're actually going to be talking about behavior today. Now, during this summer, we've been talking about working during the summer to make sure our kiddos are ready for school, to turn it up, to have the best school year they've ever had. We've been focusing on reading, we focused on literacy, we've been focusing on math. We did a little bit focus on focus, right? And then also having them function independently, having them be able to achieve A's, become, A students. We talked about all of that, but we did not talk about behavior. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I originally began working as a mental health specialist before I began teaching, okay? All right? Okay, thank you. Before I started teaching, I worked as a mental health specialist. And I work with children with behavior problems and disorders, okay? I worked with a team of doctors and also clinicians, and then, myself and another mental health specialist ran the group room. We worked on behavior modification, social skills, and we just built a family, you know what I mean? All of us together, and we talked with so many things. We got so connected, and then they would graduate, and then I'll be crying, boo-hooing, okay? So good memories there. I was a mental health specialist at UMD&J in Newark, the partial hospitalization program, better known to us as the Challenge program, okay? So that was my original job when I got out of college. That's why I went, that's why I started working first. But then I was working with my students, they were my students, but we were working with the kids on their behavior and everything, and then we started helping them with their homework, and we realized something that really bothered me at, how old was I? I must have been like 25 years old, you know what I mean? I noticed that when it was time for them to do their homework, all the behavior, strategies they learned, coping skills they learned, all the structure we put in place, it would just fall apart, man, because they were struggling with doing their homework independently, functioning independently. It was so tough for them. That they were just regressing to these behaviors. And we're like, well, what is going on? They know better than this. So by seeing it, I saw that there was a link between acting out behavior in the classroom and illiteracy, or inability to read, spell, write. Some of them couldn't even write their own names. So I decided right then, I was like, I want to get in the classroom. You know what I mean? I want to help kids improve their behavior and focus, but I also want to teach them how to read. Because to me, I love reading. I'm a big word nerd, okay? And to me, it bothers me here. Whenever I come across a child who is struggling to read and they don't have confidence, they don't want to read aloud, they may act out to get out of reading, that bothers me so much, because I feel like every child should be able to read. Every child should feel success in school. Every child should be able to experience an A. You know what I mean? I believe in that. So I ended up, after I worked for a couple of years as a mental health specialist, I had my first daughter, Jazzy, and I wanted to be a home as a mother, and I said, this is my chance, okay? So I became a substitute teacher, get my foot in the door. Later on, I became a certified special education teacher. But while I was taking classes to become certified, I was already teaching my first special education class as a permanent substitute, and I loved it, okay? My students were there for behavior, so they had a lot of acting out behaviors, a lot of fighting, cursing, throwing things, running out of the classroom, but at the same time, they were failing tests, not doing their work, you know what I mean? Not doing homework. And I was like, I don't know what y'all think this is, but this is a classroom, it's a school, so you're going to learn and you're going to do work up in here, okay? So long story short, the first day they went home, and I stayed until it was dark, creating a behavior modification system for my new classroom. And when they came back, I was like, there's a new sheriff in town. It's going down, all right? And I taught all of them. I taught them behaviorally and grew them behaviorally and academically at the same time. Tons of other stuff, within that story. But, and of course, with me teaching the 2 years that I taught publicly in public schools, officially as a teacher, not as a substitute, I got news that 2 of my students from both years, 1 year, one student, and the next year another student, transitioned out of special education and were going into the general education class. So that is my mission. The Morgan Unlimited Growth Institute is to help kids improve so much that they no longer need an IEP, they no longer need to be in special education, okay? And also make sure they're reading and functioning on or above their grade level. That's what we do here, all right? So I wanted to just tell you a little bit about my background, okay? I'm also a mom and a wife, a high school sweetheart, and we have 2 daughters, one 15 years old and one 6 years old. The other one's going to turn 16. So I'm in this with you. I teach my kids from home. I improve my own children's behavior from home as well and focus. So we are in this together, okay, family? We are in this together, all right? Also at the end, if you have any questions, just send us a message and we will send you a link, a Zoom link, and I'll be available for questions. If you're looking for a tutor or coach to work with your child during this summer to improve their focus, behavior, literacy, and math, holler at your girl or send me a message, okay? And we'll talk. Now that we talked about all that, let's talk about this very touchy topic, and that's tantrums. How to stop your child's tantrums. How do we stop your child? Okay, so first let's talk about tantrums. Like a tantrum, we first think about it, we think about little babies, right? And over the years, what I've heard and what I've learned, they get upset, they're learning how to deal with their own emotions. When they can't have their way, they don't really have the words yet, so they just start melting down, you know what I mean? And then, the way you handle it can determine if they will continue to do this as they get older, or if it's just a phase that they're going through, okay? So some of the kids, when you see a kid who's older and they're throwing things, or they're breaking things, or they're screaming, right? And they're getting upset, and then they melt down because they can't get their way. Then it no longer becomes a normal, natural form of development. It becomes a behavior issue because it is now getting in the way of their growth and academic success. They need to learn how to regulate their own emotions. They need to learn how to think through situations. They need to learn how to use their words or express themselves appropriately and respectfully so that they can get what they want or understand how to problem solve. You know what I mean? Or if they can't get it now, understand how to wait or how to earn whatever it is they want. So these are things that our children need to learn. But often enough, if they just resort to acting out and throwing tantrums, and the adults react in the way we're going to talk about today, they don't get to that. They don't acquire these skills. They are stuck in, if I don't want it, I'm going to scream and fight and kick until you give me what I want, or you just heard me give me what I want, or you try to stop getting me to do this X, Y, and Z because you don't want to hear all this hollering. It's stressful. Now it's a tool. But it's in a moment if they feel like they're getting what they want, but in reality they're not getting what they want. They're actually preventing themselves from growth. So this is a very difficult stage, especially when you have a kid that's older and they're throwing tantrums at home and they're tearing up your house, or when they throw their tantrum, everything stops in your house, nobody can think, nobody can do anything. Or if they're in school doing this and then school personnel has to come and get them and calm them down, security has to be called. Listen, I've been working with kids for years. I've been working with kids as a substitute teacher, and then as a teacher, and also as a mental health specialist. And I've been to all the schools in Newark, New Jersey, my stomping ground where I was born, okay? Where my family come from, all right? So I've been through all the schools, and I've seen lots of behaviors that happen. And what we do here, we make sure that we equip our children at home so that they can go to school and be equipped for success. So if your child is at home throwing tantrums and getting what they want from the tantrum or getting out of doing things, when they go into school, they're going to do the same exact thing. So think on that for a second. We're going to talk about our first topic. Okay. So the first thing you need to do is figure out what's the purpose of the tantrum. Actually, let me go ahead and hit y'all with the 3 main things you need to be focused on and thinking about, okay? When your child does any behavior that is slowing them down, getting in the way of their success, causing a problem, causing stress in the home, right? You have to look at that behavior. We have to look at, it's not really your child, it's the choices that they're making. But we got to isolate that behavior and remove it. Because once your child drops that behavior, right, or drops these behaviors, it's eliminated. What your child will be able to accomplish and the growth that your child, the transformation your child will go through is like amazing when they get this monkey off their back. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm basically saying. So we're going to remove the behavior, move it over. And the 3 things you need to understand about behavior is, number 1, it's a form of communication. This is if a child is throwing a tantrum with you, they're trying to communicate with you in this way, using this behavior, this action, throwing something, yelling, breaking things, slamming the door. You understand what I'm saying? Falling on the floor, screaming and crying. Okay, they're trying to communicate with you. I don't like this. I don't want to do this. I want you to give me this, or I'm going to just melt down. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to start screaming. And what do we do when this happens? Okay? First of all, as moms, I'm a mom, so I understand. I'm looking at, like, when my children were first born, both of my kids, I had preeclampsia with both of them. They both were born and had to I had to have a C-section. My oldest daughter, first time mom, she came early. Okay, she was born at 32 weeks and she was in an incubator. Okay, and we had to go to the NICU to see her. All right, so when she was first born, from that experience, like any cry, I'm upset, I don't like this, it sets off a panic in me. All right. And as parents, my youngest daughter, they said she was going to be born earlier than Jazzy. I was like, nah, that's not going to happen. So I was determined for her to be born at 37 weeks, and she was. She was born. She did not have to stay in the hospital, okay? But for me as a mother, when my children cry or when my children get upset about something and not like something, it hits me more intensely than if one of my students feels that way. For them, it's their emotion. They have to own it. They have to become self-aware. They have to process it and have to make a good choice. For my kids, that's secondary. At first, it's like, what's wrong? What do I need to do? And I know a lot of moms feel the same way that I feel, and because that's your baby. You know what I'm saying? That's your baby, right? But it's so important to be able to differentiate that when you're dealing with behavior and for you to understand what's actually happening in the moment. It's not that your child is hurting. It's not that your child is suffering. It's not that your child needs you to rescue them. It's that your child is stuck right here in this behavior cycle, doing the same thing over and over again, and they can't get from here to here if they always have you as a buffer. Okay? So the first thing is what they try to communicate to you. And the second thing is, what is the purpose of the behavior? The purpose of the behavior is to get someone else to do something, to feel something, to react a certain way, Give me what I want. Don't try to make me do this. Okay? That's the purpose of it. Okay? So ask yourself, when your child is throwing a tantrum, take a deep breath and try and think for a second. Even if you have to leave the room for a second and think, what is my child trying to communicate to me? And what are they trying to accomplish? That's actually the term I always use. What are they trying to accomplish with this behavior? Okay? That's the purpose. So behavior is form of communication. It always has a purpose. Okay? What are they trying to accomplish? So once you understand what they're trying to accomplish, then you can decide if that's what's best for them. If it's not, then you have to change your response. So if your response is always to run to their rescue, or if your response is to get flustered like they're flustered, and I understand there's no judgment. I'm a mom, and I'm not perfect. Okay? I'm going to tell you that right now. And I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm just trying to be better every single day. Okay? But I can understand how we get really flustered, and because they're yelling and screaming, we get frustrated, and next thing you know, we're yelling and screaming, okay? And it can escalate, okay? So I understand that part. If that's usually how you do it, you have to understand that that's the back and forth that keeps the behavior going. That's the purpose. Because by the time you finish engaging in that way, and you get so frustrated and both of y'all escalate, you be so tired, and what usually happens? If the behavior is not corrected by now, what usually happens? They get what they want, or the focus is taken off what they were supposed to do in the first place, or if you try to get them to clean their room after they frustrate the mess out of you, and y'all, you go through this, you fussing and hollering and stuff. Next thing you know, you fussing and picking up their stuff in the room, putting it where it's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? Right? And they standing by watching you do it. And they're like, next time I'm going to do the same thing. Or if it's homework time, and they start doing behavior like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do it. And they start throwing stuff. Or even they just start crying. You know what I mean? And next thing you know, you're sitting next to them, and you got the pencil in your hand, and you like working through it with them. And they're like, okay, so next time, so every time this is the process. This is what's going to happen. Listen, once you figure out the purpose, once you figure out what they're trying to accomplish, you ask yourself, is that what's best? Is it best for them to continue this behavior and continue to get this outcome? Or do you want them to grow? Do you want them to function independently? Do you want them to get to a point where you can just walk past their room and it's already clean, and they took initiative? Okay. And this happened recently where I was like, Maya, you made your bed? I didn't tell her to do it. She's like, yeah, I made my bed and I put my stuffed animals on there, and then I put my shoes on a shoe organizer. She said, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and as a mom, you'd be like, that's it, baby. Right? When your kids take initiative and they do something, or my oldest is like, and I'm like, you cooked? You know what I'm saying? And she's like, yeah, I've seen you do it 1,000 times, So we want our kids to function independently, but as long as they're using behavior and we're reacting in the same way that we've been reacting in such a long time, that means we're wrapped up in their behavior cycle. These tantrums work. They're going to put it on repeat and keep doing it. All right? So decide if that's what you need to do. If it's not, then it's time for you to change what you do. And that's what the third part is. Negative behavior, acting out behavior. We're just going to say tantrums. Listen, tantrums need an audience to survive and thrive. The kids start throwing tantrums, they throw something. Imagine, like say your child they have their back turned and they get mad, they kick a chair, you know what I'm saying? Or they throw something and then they turn around and see if you're looking right here. If you don't stand up, you don't say, hey, don't do that, and run over here. They're waiting for you to run over like you usually do. But if you're quiet, they turn around like to check and see, did you see what I just did? It's the audience. So that's what we're going to break down. How to be a different kind of audience during a tantrum so that the tantrum stop. Because they're a form of communication, they have a purpose, and they need an audience to survive and thrive these tantrums. But if you completely remove that stuff, or you change it, alter it, then the tantrum itself is not getting what it wants to continue, and it'll die off. Then we can replace it with something else. All right. Now that we got that going, let's chit chat. I can't see you guys, your comments, so I'm just gonna go around and see if anybody made any comments and stuff, and then we're gonna get on to the next one, so you can see the board. Can you see the board? Okay. You have any comments? Leave them below. You have any questions? Comment below. Click share so we can get these tantrums under control this summer, okay? And you can also send us a message, all right? So listen. Number one was, what's the purpose of the tantrum? Number two, plan ahead for yourself and your child. Plan ahead. All right? This is something you really want to do. A lot of times we're unsuccessful with handling tantrums. And we feel like we just get wrapped up in it. We like trying to keep our heads above water, right? Because we don't figure out a plan before we get there. It just seems like it's on us, it's upon us, and everything's going wild. We're out of control. They're out of control. We're out of control. So plan ahead. Get your master plan together, okay? You need a plan for yourself, and you need a plan for your child. So it's like, what needs to happen? You go through everything. You go through the communication, purpose, what they're trying to accomplish, and audience. Now make a plan based off of that assessment, okay? And then you make a plan for what you are going to do immediately when the tantrum starts, okay? How you're going to respond, what you're going to do, and, if a consequence is needed, what the consequence will be. You put all that together. But also, what are you going to do for yourself before, during, and after the tantrum? This is why I always talk to moms about self-care, because I'm on a self-care journey myself that I've been working on for years. It was very difficult for me to do self-care for myself. You know what I'm saying? Being a mom, I was a helicopter mom, and I was always on call, and I neglected myself really badly. If you do that, if you neglect yourself really badly, you don't have no juice to deal with tantrum, okay? That tantrum will swallow you up and spit you out. You hear me? So you make sure that you have a self-care plan, a self-care routine. Take care of yourself so you're not walking around with stress all the time. Because if you walk around with stress all the time and a tantrum hit, you're going to have a stress response. And you don't need a stress response, okay? So you're going to have a plan for yourself. A self-care plan, self-care routine that you do every day, so you good already, you straight. And the best time to do that is before the kids even get up. You start your day off right, because you took care of yourself before they came. Now, whatever they come, you remember what your plan is, and you're not running after the bus, you're driving the bus, all right? The other thing is, like I said, the plan for them, okay? So write that down. Write down what you need to take care of yourself, okay? And then write down what you're going to do when the tantrum starts, and then write down what you're going to do for yourself after you finish the tantrum, okay? That's very, very important. So now you're equipped. You got a plan. You're taking care of yourself. You're stressed. You won't have you're less likely to have a stress response, okay? And that's when we lose control of ourselves and them too. But really, we want them to learn self-control. We don't want to have to control them. We want them to learn self-control and self-discipline, because that lasts even when you're not in the room. Number 3, stay calm and quiet. This is coming from a mom that I can holler, okay? I can definitely holler, okay? I'm much better than I used to be, because I got like 1,000 different ways of dealing with stuff and doing stuff, right? But stay calm and quiet, okay? Energy matches energy. So If your child is like, I'm angry, and the energy your child is putting out in the moment is going to be angry energy, disruptive energy, right? And then you throw that energy in it and it all mixes up. But if you stay calm and quiet while you're doing your plan, your child will come down to your level. So we are the foundation, you know what I mean? We're the foundation for our children. We have to stay strong, we have to stay calm, we have to stay quiet. And I'll give you an example of that. He's a mental health specialist, and kids threw a tantrum, and I used to take them out of the room and bring them to another room, and I would sit down, they'll be in there screaming, and they want to kick and throw things, but I used to bring them to a room, we all did, bring them to a room where they don't have anything to throw, nothing to kick. And for me, and I used to tell my colleagues this too, like, don't try to talk to them while they're screaming. Because when you're trying to talk to them, you're going to have to raise your voice. They're not listening because they just want to scream. So that right there, that interaction is what they need to keep the screaming. But what I used to say instead was, all right, I'll be here when you calm down, we can talk. So right there, you're setting a standard. You're letting them know. And I do this every single time, okay? You're setting a standard. You're letting them know that in order for us to communicate and for me to hear you and for us to reconnect, you're going to have to get yourself together. And they do. They need to learn how to self-regulate. So I'm going to, when you're calm, we can talk. Then I used to sit my little nerdy self down, because I am a nerd and proud of it. And I used to sit there, my legs crossed, quiet. And I used to be working on a crossword puzzle, okay, or a word search. You know what I'm saying? So we're doing that, and then what happened? They over there, they want to keep yelling and screaming because they got themselves all worked up and want to keep yelling and screaming and everything. But I'm over here just, I'm not ignoring them. You know what I'm saying? But you do have to ignore that kind of behavior. But I'm not trying to be mean or anything. I'm just doing this while you calm yourself down. And then they would calm down. Calm down, and then they just get quiet, staring at the wall. Then they walk over, and they will look out the window and watch the cars go by. And I used to be looking, I used to be looking though, watch the cars go by, and that air from the window cooling them off. And I'm like thinking to myself, and especially now, like, they're self-regulating, they're calming down. They move themselves to a place where they can think, they can calm down and get some fresh air, right? And that spot right there is where they used to say, and I'm saying that because I've done this with so many different kids over the years as a mental health specialist. It's the same thing. It all ended the same way. After they were over there in that window calming down, they would say, I'm ready to talk. And then I say, all right, come on. Come on. Sit down. And then I'm listening to them. But then we get to the next part. Oh, we're going to get to that part in a second. Right here. Number 4 is act quickly. Now, tantrums can last for a long time. And tantrums feed off the audience. So we know that if we stay calm and quiet, the tantrum doesn't have anything to keep going back and forth with. Okay? When we try to get in there, and we try to talk them down, and we try to tell them to stop, and we try to, you know what I mean? They don't have anything. But what we can do is remove that audience. We can sit them down somewhere, and we can walk over there. You know what I'm saying? We can, as I used to do in the classroom, as soon as they picked up a chair thinking they were going to throw it, I was over there in the flash, honey. I was in my 20s. I was quick, okay? Right now I'm in my 40s, so it's a little slower. But I was quick. I used to run over there quick. I used to grab them and take them out of the room quick in a flash. They could hardly keep up with how fast I was moving. The reason I did it that fast is because they're not going to destroy the classroom, and you're trying to disrupt the class. You're trying to pull the attention. You're trying to get that audience going. I'm about to remove the audience quickly. You will have no audience. So I pulled them out, and also I taught the rest of the kids in the group how to respond when somebody's having a tantrum. That's what I want to see. I want to see y'all stop what you're doing. I want y'all to go in your bags and pull out your coloring books, pull out your notebook and work on, the rules. You got to practice your rules. They always have to recite and know the rules in our program. So start practicing that, or draw in your notebook or whatever. That's what y'all do. I don't want y'all being there like, oh snap, look what he's doing. No, we're not doing all that, right? So I taught them what to do. So when you cut out the audience, you change the audience, you change the response of the audience, and you remove the audience, the tantrum is going to die off. So I was so quick, got them out of the room, got them to the other room before it was so fast. And then they get off me, because of course I let them go. But once we got into a safe space where they can't hurt themselves by kicking furniture and throwing things, and they can't hurt anybody else, okay? All right, so for some of y'all, tantrum is much less intense than this, than what I'm talking about. But this is the same principle, Remove the audience or change the audience. Stay calm, okay, and quiet. Let them calm down and regulate themselves, and then you can have a discussion. Have your child discuss, become self-aware, take responsibility, and problem solve. Honey, if you don't want to be doing this all the time every day, your child needs to be thinking. They need to be thinking. They need to discuss what happened. They need to be self-aware. That means they get a chance to talk about their feelings. Okay? So you can't have taking responsibility like this is what I did without talking about feelings. Because they need to learn how to process their feelings, right? But you can't have talk about feelings without taking responsibility, because then they will learn that when I get angry, this is what I do. I got angry because I threw this because I was angry. And it becomes normal and acceptable to them. And we don't want that. We don't want that. Okay? So they get to discuss it, talk about their feelings, take responsibility. What should I have done instead? What I would do next time. Okay? And that's the problem solving. So one of the biggest ways that I've grown behavior over the years is having these discussions with kids. A lot of times, most of the time, well, after I was a mental health specialist, when I became a teacher, they wrote. So they worked on their writing and spelling while they were going through this process. They wrote about it, okay? And they thought it through. So I wasn't telling them what they felt. I wasn't telling them why they did things. I wasn't telling them what they should do, what they should have done, and what they need to do next time. I know all that. They need to learn. So I asked them these questions, and they told me the answers. They got a chance to think. Then when their mind was calm, and process this and grow each time. So next time they threw a tantrum, it was milder, because they knew I was about to snatch them up out of the room. It was milder, and also their calm down was quicker, and also they became much better with strategies and coping skills, okay? And then they were eliminated altogether, okay? Which brings me to the last one. Develop a routine. Listen, a lot of times people feel like it's not going to work, or this doesn't work, or that doesn't work. Any behavior plan that you put together. I mean, look, I know there are thousands out there, but what I'm saying is the most important thing is not what's the best behavior plan, or what's the newest behavior plan out there, or what's the newest way to deal with children out there, that's not the most important thing, because everything should be customized for you and your child, okay? For their growth, based on what their needs are, what their growth needs are, and then you can develop a plan from that. So the plan is not the most important thing. It's being consistent. It's a routine, okay? And then there's a routine that runs by itself. So when you do it enough times, your child will start to think before they throw a tantrum. They will start to use some of the strategies and techniques that they've come up with in the discussions with you and writing with you and then reading it out loud and editing and writing it over. That's how I do now, okay? Because my students, we're always writing, we're always spelling, we're always reading. They will learn, and they will start to, that's now become part of their subconscious. This is not this is not a habit for them to just explode all the time now. They're forming new habits and replacing the old ones with this new stuff. Because this is what they thought about. This is what they processed out. This throwing everything and fighting and yelling and screaming and slamming stuff and stomping. It's just an immediate response that worked, and then they're like, okay, I'm going to put this on repeat. But the process that we talked through just now helps them grow and helps them think, and you make that routine, that's going to drown out that other stuff. Because this is now the main thing. This is the ice cream, you know what I mean, with cherries on top. This is the best thing right here. This is helping me have more self-control. This is helping me get positive attention. This is helping me get the adults around me now approve of the way that I'm doing things. I'm having better relationships and better interactions with adults, my teachers, my parents, you know what I mean, my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, also my cousins, my brothers, my sisters, my friends at school in the classroom, you know what I mean. I'm learning more, becoming more successful. Man, that feels good. These kids feel so good when they get self-control and self-discipline. Oh my gosh. And they are so proud of themselves. They could be in the middle of acting up, and then they start to learn this, or they could be in the middle of being upset, and you'll praise them on something that they finally did right, and then a big smile just bursts out on their face. Like, that's what they want most of all. They just don't know how to get it. So that's our job to teach them. Okay? So, how to stop your child's tantrums. Number one, what's the purpose of the tantrum? Number two, plan ahead for yourself and your child. Number three, stay calm and quiet. Pause real quick right there because I remember Maya was bugging. Okay, my 5 just turned 6 years old, and I was stressed myself. I hadn't slept. See, I hadn't slept. I was tired. I had so much to do. She was bouncing around. She was doing all kinds. She wasn't listening, and I did something that was like. Maybe it's because I was tired that day, y'all, but it worked. So I started talking to myself like I was another person. And I was like, girl, you all right? Yeah, girl, I'm all right. Now, listen, I know you're tired. You ain't sleep last night. You know what I'm saying? Maya bouncing around. She not listening, but it's going to be okay, girl. You hear me? Yeah, I hear you, girl. Okay, now this is what you're going to do. You make sure that you stay nice and calm. I want you to tell Maya, and I just started going through stuff, and I'm on talking like, oh, yes, girl, I needed that, you know? Yeah, I feel you. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Maya stopped, and she turned, and she was just looking at me. She was just looking at me like, and watching me have this conversation with myself. I was giving myself all of the support, okay? But that in the moment, because I was so tired and I was so stressed, that is the way that I stayed calm and quiet, okay? And I talked myself down, and I'm not responding, reacting to what she's doing. I get to calm down and think. But I was just thinking aloud with 2 people, okay? I promise y'all, I made that up, all right? I don't really have another person talking to me. That's just what happened that day. So it worked. She really calmed down, and I told her, as soon as I finished, I was like, thank you. And she was like, and I said, I'm talking about, she was like, if you need me again, just call me. I'm right here. I'm like, all right, girl, that's what I'm about to do. I'm about to go take care of Maya and tell her what to do. And then if I need you, I'm going to let you know. All right, sis. All right, talk to you later. I did that whole thing. Then I turned to Maya. She was looking at me half confused, and then a curious look on her face, too. And then she was kind of entertained at the same time. I was like, Maya, this is what I want you to do. And I was nice and calm. And she was like, okay. And she did exactly what I told her to do. Later on, she's like, you going to be talking to that lady again? I was thinking about her back. She's like, you going to be talking to that lady today? She wanted her to come back. You know what I'm saying? Listen. There's no plan. There's no... Parenting is on the spot. Figure it out. It's a combination of you and your child. It's customized. It's what do I need to do for this moment right here? You know what I'm saying? So that we get back on track and everything be straight. So whatever you got to do, even if you feel like making up a whole new person and talking to them, you know what I'm saying? It was so funny and cute. All right, so stay calm and quiet, all right? And don't argue back and forth when they throw in a tantrum and yell back and forth. You find yourself doing that. Look, you're going to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. But it's all right to press the reset button. If we find ourselves hollering and stuff and they hollering, it's okay to press the reset button and be like, you know how many times I've done that? Just be like, and then turn back to the, like, I just needed a moment. And turn back to your child, and you are consistent with what you said before they start acting up. You're consistent. When kids start to, oh, she's not playing. Oh, she's still saying the same thing. Oh, she hasn't changed. She hasn't wavered. She hasn't bent over backwards. She hasn't, like relented. She hasn't, you know what I mean? She hasn't given in. She's nothing. She's still saying the same thing. That's really what causes kids to understand that we're serious. The fact that I said what I said, this is how it's going down. And the next time, I'm saying the same thing. And the next time I'm saying the same thing. Then it starts to be so, oh, this is really a thing. Okay? So being consistent is the most important thing. All right? Stay calm and quiet. Act quickly. Quickly. Don't allow your child to throw a tantrum. And keep going with the tantrum, trying to get your reaction. Have a plan already in place. And react quickly. Whether your plan is as soon as they start, you leave the room. And they like, you know what I mean? They're not doing the tantrum, they're looking for you. You know what I'm saying? Or if they need to sit in a chair. I used that one recently on a little girl in my program, a new student, who was like throwing tantrums in the house. She can sit in a chair. Every time she starts, sit down, put in a chair, point to the chair, chair, every single time. Took a couple of days, and then the tantrums decreased. The length of the tantrums decreased way down. You know what I'm saying? And it was just a couple of days that we started. She's brand new. We started to see a change in the tantrums because she knows as soon as I start, you're not going to engage back and forth with me. You're not going to try to get me to calm down. You're not going to yell back and forth with me. You're not going to, scream with me. You're not going to, I just got to sit in this chair. Do I want to sit in this chair and have to stay in this chair for a little while, or would I rather just keep playing? Or would I rather just listen and then next time I get to play? But when you take away that audience, that chair, that's your audience now. You're in a chair. You just removed yourself as the audience into the back and forth. That's the boundaries we need to set. That's the structure we need to set. Whether it's that, you know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, put a plan in place, customized for you and your child, so that you feel better and your child feels better. Now listen, your child might get upset because you might think this is not working. Maybe they was yelling and screaming, but then they started yelling louder. Understand what that's a communication. It's just me. I really don't like this. You changed the game on me. I'm upset. But what goes up must come down. Doesn't mean that it doesn't work. It just means that I'm upset right now. So if that happens, you still stay consistent, you still stay calm, then they will calm down and then they will get on track. Okay? So I just want y'all to encourage y'all to hang in there for you. If you have any chronic tantrums with your children, I kind of talk mostly about kids who are smaller in the middle, right? If they're older, right, teenagers, and they're old as you and they start throwing things or whatever, you're going to need somebody else to be in there with you, move them to another room. You know what I'm saying? Or tell them to go in their room immediately as soon as they start. Stay calm and quiet. Remove yourself from the situation. You know what I mean? Where you can calm down and they can calm down and teach them that I'm gonna interact with you and I'm gonna talk to you when you calm down. And it has to be a respectful conversation. It has to be, okay? I feel like we're about to get to a whole nother topic, but I'm gonna keep it concise because we're about to get off and then go into Zoom for Q&A if you have any questions. Okay? So teach your teenage kids, if they throw tantrums, if they are disrespectful, teach them the way to interact with you, or how to talk to you respectfully. Not by trying to force them to do it, but it's more like when you control your own self and you have standards yourself, they will learn what boundaries not to cross, because this is not going to get a reaction from you. If you want to talk, when you calm down, we can talk. And when they come in, they have to apologize for their tone and for being disrespectful. Okay? We're teaching them how to be communicate. They're going to be in relationships when they get older. So they can't think that they can scream and curse and whatever they want, and you're just supposed to sit there and be quiet and understanding. What if they're in a relationship when they get older and they think that's how it's supposed to go? No. We both have to learn how to communicate and interact and communicate better, but you set standards for yourself. This is how I need to communicate. When you calm down, we can talk. Okay? They will listen to each other. All right? But this is, for me, this is how it needs to be. So you put a standard and you bring them down, you put that foundation under them so that they can speak in a respectful way, so that they can be heard. Because when they get older, if they do that in a relationship, that's not healthy. If they do that at their job, they're going to be fired. If they do, you understand what I'm saying? If they have a client, they have their own business, and they just want to yell and scream at the client, they won't have a client anymore. You understand? I had experience with a woman that way a couple years ago. Okay, I went to our witness store. I'm talking to her, and she got so upset. She started yelling and everything, and I walked out. Ain't no way. Okay, so let's make sure that we teach our kids how to communicate. You can throw a tantrum whether you're 2 years old, 8 years old, 16 years old. Some grown people out here throwing tantrums. Everybody needs to learn, okay? That's not the way you communicate, all right? So let me know how y'all feel about tantrums. Let me know if you feel like this was helpful. If you've had situations like this with your own kids, or you heard of situations, you know what I mean, where kids are acting out and fighting and cursing and everything, we just like, that's behavior. They must have a disorder. That's a grown tantrum, okay? It's a big kid. I call them big kid tantrums, because I don't focus on disorders and medication and all that. I focus on what's happening in the moment, why, and how we make a customized plan so that this child grows into making better choices. That's how I look at it. I'm a little different, all right? So you may have different opinions on this. You may have different thoughts. Hit me up in the comment section. Love to hear from you. Remember, don't forget to click that share button so we can have this discussion with other moms. I love y'all so much. Again, message me if you have any questions. I love to talk to moms, okay? And I love to talk to dads. I have dads in my program too. I started out just working with moms, but I also have dads in my tutoring and coaching program as well. But I'm a mom myself, so that's why I talk about moms more. But yes, I love talking to moms. I love talking to dads. If you're a dad and you have your child, or you and your wife are working on it together, you know what I'm saying? Or you and your partner are working on it together, and you want more tips, follow. Click that follow button. If you get your kids on the weekend and you want tips on how to make sure that they behave better, focus better, work on literacy and math from home, click that follow button. You understand what I'm saying? If you're a single dad, which I have a single dad in my program, and you're raising a child yourself, you know what I'm saying? And you want your child to improve their behavior, focus, literacy, and math, click that follow button, all right? Dads are welcome here. I love you. Moms, you know, I'm a mom too, so I understand, and I'm doing it with you. These are kids, y'all. These are our kids. These are our babies, and they are champions. And we all want them to keep reaching for their full potential, because potential, like growth, is unlimited. Okay, but we want them to just keep growing, and we want them to feel good and confident in themselves, feel like champions. All right, we all want the same thing. I want the same thing for my kids. All right, so I feel you. All right, love y'all so much. Thank you for hanging. And I'll be here again next week, Saturday at 6:30 with another topic for you. I hope you're enjoying the summer. Your kids are enjoying the summer. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. Oh, my website, growthinstitute.mykajabi.com. The summer program and rates going on now. Go there to find out the discounted summer rates and programs, okay? Believe in yourself, believe in your child, honey. Always remember that growth is unlimited.